Well, here we are at Tech Day. So today we're going to be doing lighting, sound, a cue to cue, which means that we literally go through the show, sound cue and light cue by cue, transitions, some puppet rehearsal, and if we're lucky, we'll get to do a dress rehearsal as well. It's really exciting to be working in this space, and everyone is just ecstatic to be here.
Tech Day for me is the most important part of the process. Is where designs stop being designs and start becoming realized, and this is where I become a lot more physical. This is my day really. Today, as soon as we got in, we started rigging all the lights, putting them in their positions, ready for focus.
We've had a couple of discussions about lighting. At first, I think Stella was keen to stay in the monochrome theme, but then it could just become too stark. It could be very, pardon the pun, black and white. So we are going to play with a little bit of color in lighting to create warmer spaces and cooler spaces when multiple scenes are occurring simultaneously on the stage.
A factor that I guess like affects my design decisions are like the rig and the lighting, bars in the space, and what I can do in the space.
We came to the venue in the morning today and started rigging, and then we started patching as well, and so that is based on the design that I've drawn in my plan. I always have like the ideal lighting rig in my head, but then it always ends up being like a decision of like always ends up changing to fit the venue. I am confident that we'll work it through slowly but surely during Tech later.
The whole show is quite intense, so in order to get like the best level of intense, you need the acting to be solid, you need the stage to look good, you need the sound to be creating the right kind of atmosphere, and the lighting, I mean everything comes together. But obviously as a musician and the sound designer for this show, I'd say it's probably the most important thing in there. I've tried to create something which is in keeping with the atmosphere of everything else that's going on. For this production, there is a huge temptation for me to sort of say, okay, well that really worked, but can we try something new tomorrow? But for now, before everything is actually performed, I'm going to say yes, it is done. I'm leaving it alone.
My sister studied embroidery, so that's why I kind of thought it'd be great to use her skills in this. She will basically be hand embroidering onto each side of the sheet, then sewing it all together.
Pulling on the ribbon before I stitch it down.
There will be one very long piece of fabric that is the length of the cyclorama.
It's quite a central focus, so I think interesting shadows could be made to people, and it could be sometimes quite bright to symbolise the afterlife.
So this is Marie, she's finally finished. Yesterday her entire hip came off in rehearsal and we were like, oh my god, why today? So she's a genuine hip replacement, like a real granny now. So she's come like a really long way. Today me and Ciarán are gonna practice manipulating her. We obviously have been rehearsing with her, but we haven't rehearsed with her in the shroud.
Today's gone all right. We are definitely behind, but again, that's kind of normal. I don't think I've ever done a show where Gedden has been perfectly on time. It's going pretty well. I've got most of the lighting cues, at least in the book. They'll move around once we actually run it cue to cue, but at the moment they're in sort of the right place. And I've got about half of the sound cues on the right pages. We're doing a very, very quick show with a very short get-in, a very short tech period, and so everything sort of feels a little bit behind, but in terms of actually what is currently happening, then everything's right on track.